Hey, Noah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's okay.
You can edit it.
Okay, that was staged, but the first time he did it, it was really funny. I said, hold on, I need my camera. That was funny. What did you need for real?
Well, I was sending him to help you.
Oh, well, I can tell him what to do. Thanks for the hand. You can go back to doing your administrative work.
You know, I'd rather not be doing this, but...
I know. So what you're saying is right now that you would rather be building a stanchion?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Why you gotta bring up my shame, though? One's gonna get to work and he's gonna pull up and say, well, that's a mighty fine stanchion there.
Mighty fine.
Mighty fine.
Okay, we need this. Alright. Alright, so I have the Noahs assisting me today. And we are going to plant some onions and garlic. It is late to plant garlic. I'm in zone 8, and that's okay. It's going to be freezing cold this next week. Also okay, planting both of these things. It's best to let them get a little established with some roots before they get a hard freeze. But I'm going to mulch them with some straw once we put them in, so they'll be fine. They're very hardy, onions and garlic. And the main thing is you just want to be able to work your soil. And right now we have this area next to where our window greenhouse is going to be that I've had this silage tarp down since about November or October. I think we put this down in October. And unfortunately, the silage tarp has sustained some damage. You can see here, and this is actually rodent damage. So there are rodents that are living underneath this, which is one of the reasons why I want to go ahead and get it up, because it is getting messed up. And that's why I'm planting here instead of over there. All right, so the guys have pulled the sandbags off and they're about to pull this back. Wonder if we'll see anything scurry underneath here. He must have heard us and already ran off. Alright, we can leave it half down for now. We'll just work on this half and maybe do that half later if we fill up this space. Oh, there goes a little mousey. So because I know that there are some rodent issues right here and I don't want them just completely consuming all of my seed garlic and onions, I will probably be laying down some traps all through this area once we get it planted. I've got some traps. My friend Jason from Big Bear Homestead does like pest eradication and trapping and all of that stuff, and he shared with us some different traps. It's what we used to keep in our high tunnel in Arkansas. Unfortunately, this is part of living on a farm, and we do have a hawk that hangs out here. I actually like that she's here because she helps. I see her hunt rodents out here regularly, but it's just part of living on a farm. So guys, I did notice that we have a couple pretty monster ant piles. Just be mindful of that so you don't get yourself in them. We could grab a shovel and kind of shovel those off to the side. So one organic way of getting rid of ants is to take a scoop from one pile, put it in another pile. Take a scoop from that pile and put it in this one. And they all fight each other to the death. So, and it actually does work, but obviously we want them all the way out of this space. So we'll just try to dig those out, maybe put them all together in a pile and try to get around that. So we are going to get some rakes, and this soil is actually pretty loose because it has been covered and not been walked on or driven on at all, so it's actually in pretty good shape. But we're going to go ahead and rake out our rows, and then we're going to put some compost down that we can plant in, and then we will mulch that and also mulch the walkway. While the guys are getting the rakes and shovels, I'm going to walk you guys out here to check on the very much still pregnant Helen. Hey girl, you see me coming? Hey beautiful girl. Hello little darling. All right, so she's not really made much by the way of changing. I mean, she's super full udder. She's leaking a little bit from her udder. She's got a lot of discharge. Her ligaments are pretty soft and sunken. And, you know, the thing is with due dates is that they're just guesses. They're not guarantees. She was due on Sunday. I've had a few people message and say, are you really sure she's pregnant? I'm absolutely sure she's pregnant. I mean, the way that her udder has filled out and the way she's swollen, and the fact that I failed the baby kick. She was bred by artificial insemination, so I know her due date was Sunday. I have documentation of that. So I know she was also kept on a dairy, so like there's no way that she was exposed like later or anything like that. I feel very confident that she's due any day now. She looks like it. I had a few people message me and say, aren't you worried the baby died? And I'm like, well, I wasn't worried until you said that. But no, we felt the calf kick. I can actually see it moving around a little bit in there right now. Her belly is so swollen. And I'm regularly seeing like movement on that right side, or the passenger side as they say. And this is just the nature of pregnancy. I have been keeping a close eye on her udder to make sure she's not getting any knots or mastitis. If I did feel a knot or a hardness or hotness in her udder, I would rub. I have this this mint cream made by Synergy. It's like natural cow care products. And I would start rubbing her down with that. But so far, she's fine. And really, this is just testing my patience. She looks good. She's not upset. I'm sure she's uncomfortable. But we've been leaving her out in the field while it's so nice out. It's a little chilly. It's supposed to get pretty cold again this weekend. My reason for putting her up at night when it's, you know, 20 degrees outside, little calves can get hypothermia really quick. Like mostly it's probably fine, but it's just a precaution. So I don't know, I've seen her squat a couple times to pee in this last 45 minutes since I've been outside. And that could be something, it could not be, I don't know. I am eager and excited, but I'm not stressed. This is normal. Pregnancy is unpredictable. The only thing we're sure of is that there's a calf in there, and at some point, it's gonna have to come out. You sweet girl, you're gonna do a good job. You're gonna be a good mama. There's nothing for you back there. She just completely ignored me the whole time I was out here, and then they'll drive up and...
That's funny.
My chariot awaits. She is trying to see if there's snacks in the back. We have a really cool plan for this pig yard area that I ran by Phil when he was here. Just from a permaculture design standpoint, I wanted to know his thoughts of what I wanted to do, and he approved it with a big thumbs up. So we've had all these pigs in here, obviously more than is advised. Oh, they're so loud. Look at the piglets, look how big they're getting. Hey, baby pigs! So we left the black boar uncut. The other two we did go ahead and castrate for meat. That black boar I'm gonna breed to my old spot and try to do like a hybrid. I love the marbling and the mangalitsa, but they just grow so slow. So if we mix that with the old spot, then maybe we can get a meatier, faster growing pig with the benefit of the mangalitsa. So that's my plan. We're planning on processing like 5 of these pigs over the next handful of months. Go ahead and get them off of this yard. And the thing I was telling Phil was that I was really trying to utilize the disturbance of this ground, because they have very much disturbed it, trampled it, and eaten all of the vegetation that was on it and just eaten it down, and obviously done a lot of fertilizing as well. And the thing that I was telling Phil I wanted to do was we wanted to turn this pond into like a goose and duck habitat area, because we have this great pond. It's right up here at the front. We've ordered quite a few geese and ducks from Murray McMurray Hatchery, which I want to keep for eggs and also raise some of them for meat. I want all of the spaces that we are using to have multi-purposes. I want to get the most out of our land and really close that loop in that permaculture sense. And so one of the things I really wanted to do was use this area to plant fruit trees around this pond. And my idea is I wanted to do something that would be really cool from an aerial viewpoint. And so I was thinking of making the line of our fruit trees follow the line of the pond and go all the way from the pond up here. And that way we could keep the geese and the ducks in with the fruit trees, and they will help keep down the pests that fruit trees so often have. So one of of the things that Phil suggested that I do is right now, while this is so disturbed, during kind of coming out of the wet season, to find out the exact right mark to sow on, but to sow this whole area with whatever grass it is that ducks and geese really like. So we're looking at that. We're going to sow this with grass, and then as soon as we get the pigs off, I'm going to start planting fruit trees in here. And he actually said that trees even like unbroken down compost, so they can thrive in even a little bit of hotter compost, so they'll do well in this. And the pigs we're keeping will end up back over in the woods, and we're going to pasture them through the woods and move them. When we put them up here in this space, this was never going to be like our long-term pig space. It was really for the purpose of helping fix the pond, because the pond had gotten real seepy around some different areas, and they did that by wallowing. That was something I had read on some permaculture boards, that pigs can really do a lot to repair ponds. But also to just, there was a lot of like really intense brush in here, and by putting them in here, they really took care of that. And now we're thinking into what the next purpose of this space is going to be, which is going to be this really cool like fruit orchard slash waterfowl habitat around this pond. I think it's going to be a really cool thing to have right here where you come in to our property. All right, so we got the ant colonies removed from being right in your way. I actually ordered my onions from Onion Sets at Dixondale Farms. I've ordered onions from them before, and they come just started plants. Starting onions from seed is obviously much cheaper. I just didn't have a place to start seeds this year, and I've always had really good success with the Dixondale stuff. When you buy several bundles, the price goes down. So I'm gonna start raking this up with Noah while Noah goes and gets some compost, and we're just gonna set out, basically do some rows on this already prepared ground and plant directly into them. I'll show you guys that. All right, so we've just raked down any of the places they were real uneven, because basically when we laid down this topsoil here, we just laid the tarp on top of it, and it had just some little dips in it, and then the rain pressing it down. That way the water isn't going to pool anywhere where we've got the stuff planted. So I've got a bag of garlic here that should have been planted a little while ago, but it is what it is. I saw somebody comment on the Friends of Refuge and Refuge Facebook page, you know, hey, could I still plant garlic? And I have planted it as late as February. You can see here mine's quite sprouted. So what we're gonna do is peel just the outer layer off. So normally your garlic is probably not gonna be this sprouted when you get it. And this makes it very obvious which way it goes in. Normally it wouldn't have this green thing sticking out of the top, but you put the flat part of the clove facing downward. That's where the roots grow out, and then the sprout comes up from the top. Because these have already sprouted, I will plant a little bit of this sprout under the soil, not a whole lot. I'll leave about this much sticking up. Now I'm gonna mulch over these, and the reason why, these have been in a box in my house, so these little tender sprouts are not hardened off, so they have not been exposed to the light of the sun. And while they would probably survive if I just stuck them in with all the green sticking out, I think they would probably suffer for it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just throw some straw down on top of them so they can not get completely scorched. I just had some fellas pull in here. One of our neighbors pulled in. Of course, we're still meeting a lot of our neighbors, but pulled in a few days ago and said, you don't happen to have a male goat you're wanting to get rid of? And I was like, well, I actually do have a male goat, and I don't really need him anymore because I'm not going to be breeding goats. Hey, Ezzy. Good. How are you, baby? Good. And I told him, I was like, you're welcome to him if you'd like him. And so they came back and got him. He's got a few lady goats that he's keeping, and he wanted to grow his herd. And Ross is a good buck, and he works. He's got all my girls bred. Went to his new home where he can have some more fun, and that alleviates some stress for me. All right, so I was just telling Noah that now normally if I had like a prepared garden space, I would pile a few inches of compost up where I want to plant. However, this soil is pretty dang good, and this is going to get weedy. You can see here that even though we laid a silage tarp down, you can see all of this grass and stuff, and this is Bermuda grass. It's very persistent. So the fact is that even after we plant this, we're probably going to have to reset this space in one way or another. So I don't want to put just a ton of compost down. We already have a lot of topsoil. Instead of doing a few inches, I think what we'll do, guys, is just like an inch.
Okay.
I have a handful of bags that I bought, locally made. It's made here in South Carolina, compost called Mater Maker. And I have some big bags of stuff that I got from that Soil 3 place. Of course, we're starting to make our own compost. Right now I'm buying it. Doing this big a space with all bagged compost would not be economical. I bought these for a different thing I didn't end up doing. So we're gonna start with these to get them out of the way, and then we'll get those bigger thing over. All right, so I'm thinking just like come off the edge a little bit so we don't want to waste the compost right next to that grass. Like literally just dump these out and we'll kind of spread it. All right, so we just want to do like, I mean, you might need to bring some of that over here. Let's start it like right here.
Okay.
And we just want to do like an inch. I don't need very much on it, but these bags aren't going to get us very far.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then I'm thinking like this wide on the rows. All right, I just pulled these onions out of this box from Dixondale. Now these came in a few days ago. I should have opened them then, and I didn't. You would think I'd learned this lesson, but they're fine. A little soft on the ends. But I got there's like a trio they have. Let's see. Short day sampler. Short day onions versus long day onions. You choose which kind you're going to grow based on the region you live in. And to make that super simple, if you just Google short day versus long day onion chart or something like that. I know Dixondale Farms has it on their website, and it just shows a map of the United, and it tells you which is best for your region based on the length of your growing days in your season. Because basically different types of onions, it takes different amounts of daylight hours to trigger them to bulb up. So you want to make sure you have the right kind so that you can get the bulbs on your onions, which is the part you're growing it for. Now, Noah just asked me a question I wanted to address because I thought it was a good question for somebody who is new, because Noah's pretty new to growing stuff. And he said, so why exactly are you putting this compost down? Is it just for nutrients? And the reasoning for the compost is actually twofold. Yes, it's for nutrients. So whenever you lay a layer of compost down, like on top of your soil, so like say you're gonna plant in your raised garden beds this year, and you wanna put a couple inches down of something organic that's got microbes and nutrients and all of that stuff that's full of life, and like a good compost is gonna be full of life. And by just laying that down a couple inches on top, when you water it, when it rains, it's gonna wash all of that stuff down into the soil, which is awesome. And that's very much the reason you do that. But also, by putting that as a layer on top, you don't need to till it in, you don't need to do anything like that. But by laying a couple inches of like organic matter, compost, on top of the existing soil, what happens is that those microbes are going to wash down into your soil. And what we want is not to like feed our plants. We're not amending our garden beds for there to be food for our plants. What we're trying to do is encourage life in the soil, and that is from earthworms all the way down to the billions of things that we can't see, because all of that life existing in the soil adds to what we call the soil structure, the aeration, overall the health, not just in what's living there, but in the air and the ability to drain and all of those things. And so laying a layer of compost down like this in a no-till bed, so I did not till this, I am allowing more structure to exist. So this soil has been underneath this tarp for months now is nice and light. I mean, we raked it out a little bit in the areas to level it out, but it's super light and fluffy. There's a lot of structure in the soil. And so I don't want to break that up and damage any of that structure. So that's why I'm just laying it down and encouraging more structure to happen. So here's these big old bags of compost that I ordered. You know, we'll see how they do. Onion sets they're just little started onion plants, just like this. And what we're gonna do is just stick these in the ground. As I see these big clumps of roots, I'm gonna throw them out. It's not gonna make that big of a difference. There's still so much grass here. Bermuda's just really hard to get rid of, but I'll be an optimist and throw them out anyway. And to plant these onion sets, it's literally just a matter of sticking them down in the ground about that much, just barely putting the bulb underneath the soil. I've got multiple varieties here, and I'm gonna do these about 4 inches apart. Now, we've just laid down this inch of compost, and the soil underneath it was pretty loose, so this is really easy going to do this. Try to keep the lines semi-straight. It's not massively important. You just want to give them enough space to grow and bulb up. And I'm going to fill these in all the way across, and I'll actually do the exact same thing for the garlic. It'll take a little more to plant because I'll have to go a little deeper to put the whole clove under the ground. Will you be so proud when we harvest these onions, Noah?
Yes. I was looking back because I didn't know which one you were talking to.
What about you, Noah?
Oh yeah. It's actually the first planting I've ever really done. So we'll be.
You guys are going to take these onions and you're going to share them with your friends, and you're going to say, I grew this onion. And they're going to say, oh my God, this is the best onion I've ever tasted. And you're going to be like, dang Skippy, it is.
Dang Skippy.
Alright, so I just handed the onion planting over to Noah. We got that whole bed in. I got about half of this one in. He's taken over. And then I'm going to show Noah, brother Noah, how to do this garlic. And I figured I'd show you guys too. So we did these rows. They're probably about 3 feet wide. And we're going to do 4 rows of garlic in it. Noah had these stakes in the barn, which are just about perfect. You can use a stick or a dibber. But we want to just drive a hole down and put these garlic cloves in so that just the tip of that green sticks out. And what you may want to do first, and we're going to go about 6 inches apart on these, so about the same as the onions. You may want to do a row first, and then you can come and drop the cloves in. And what I kind of like to do when I'm planting anything like this is drop the cloves in where I can still see them well, so I can keep my rows well, and then you come and just kind of close in over them. With those, I think I heard you ask me, and it was when the boys were calling, just the bulb goes in. You know, like, it doesn't even have to be all the way in, but it doesn't need to be too deep. Benjamin's pretty good at dropping cloves in if you wanted to make holes and let him help you. So with the garlic cloves, you're just separating these cloves out, and you don't want to strip them. Like, they've got those little papery wrappings on them, and if a little bit of it comes off, it's okay. It's not the end of the world, but you, for the most part, want to leave that papery wrapping on because that's going to protect it in the ground. So if a pit comes off and you see the garlic clove, that's okay, but you're not trying to do that. So you're just breaking up these individual cloves, and each one is a plant. Alright guys, my camera is nearly dead. I will update you on this progress on my next video. And hopefully I will introduce you to a calf on that video also. Thanks for hanging out with us today. And bless you. Until next time.